What's up, you guys? It's Martin here. And if you're a broke college student, let me tell you something. Me too. And today I'm going to share with you 10 ways that I save money as a broke college student myself. And I hope these tips can help you save money during your undergraduate career as well. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first way I've saved money in college is to make a budget for myself. And this is really important because without a plan, then you're not going to get anywhere, especially financially. So if you're not tracking your income and expenses, then you don't know what your financial position is at the moment, and you won't know what to do to exactly improve it. Tracking your spending can really be eye-opening, as sometimes you don't realize how much money you spend on a day-to-day basis. Like, successful companies won't be as successful as they are if they didn't track what they spend, so why wouldn't we be the same? If we're to succeed financially and save more money, then wouldn't it make sense for us to budget like all these big companies are doing? Trust me, it'll be pretty eye-opening to see how much money you spend on certain things without even realizing it. Start a budget and see where you can reduce your expenses. And to track your spendings, you can use a budgeting app. And I use something like mint.com. And I'm not sponsored by them, but I just find that it's helpful to see your monthly spending habits automatically tracked for you, because sometimes we're busy and we're kind of too lazy to do that ourselves. So yeah, just check it out and make yourself a budget. And I think that would really help you guys in the long run. The second thing I would do is look out for sale items. Now this one is obvious, but I'm going to say something different about sales, and that is to avoid them. And let me clear this up by saying, for example, you have a friend that says, oh, Nike had a 50% off sale and I saved $400. But then I would think, like, objectively, wait, there was 50% off and you spent $400. You didn't exactly save $400. I didn't buy anything from that sale. That means I saved $400. Your friend objectively spent $400. So sometimes sales are a trap in that sense, especially if you weren't going to buy the item in the first place. Like, there are times that sales make sense if you were going to buy that item anyway, and it just happens to go on sale, then sure, by all means, buy it. And other times sales really make sense, like buying out of season items, such as buying jackets in the summertime or more summer wear in the wintertime. And that would actually make sense. But the way stores put out discounts is to attract more people to buy things, and sometimes you fall into that trap without even realizing it. The third thing I do to save money is to drink water. And that's pretty much the only beverage I drink. All these other sugary drinks like soda, bubble tea, and even Starbucks, they cost so much money and they're really not that good for your health either. So it'd be a win-win situation to avoid these things for not only your money, but most importantly, your health as well. And don't even get me started on bottled water. You can always just buy a filter and filter tap water. Not only is bottled water more expensive, but it also creates more waste for the environment. And the fourth thing I do to save money as a broke college student is to stop eating out as much. I know, I get it. There are times when you want to celebrate and have a nice meal out with friends, but try not to do that too often, as it really adds up over time. Like, the average cost of a meal outside is like $12 to $15, and if you go out like 3 times a week, that's quite a bit of money, and it adds up over time. Like, I'm not telling you guys to never go outside with your friends and have a little bit of fun once in a while, but just be mindful about this and keep track of it in your budget. And that goes back to the importance of having a budget, and that is that you can plan a certain amount of money to do the things that you want to do, but keep it within reason. The fifth way I would save money as a broke college student is to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, because that would really help out my channel and push my content out to help more people and to support more undergraduates like you and me. So yeah, let's move on with the video. So the fifth way that I would save money is to buy my groceries instead of going out all the time, because that is really just more cost effective. You can make a good meal for like $2 or less, as opposed to the $12 that you're spending on a meal outside. And also, with the same amount of money, you can buy a lot more food at the grocery store. So that's the fifth point, is to buy groceries. Building off of the fifth point, sixth way I save money is to buy your groceries in bulk. But you should be careful with this, as similarly to the point that I made on sales, just because an item is cheap in bulk doesn't mean you have to buy a lot of it. And what I mean by this is, if you buy too much of a grocery item just because it's cheap, you have to think that the grocery items are perishable. So if you buy too many loaves of bread at once, how much are you going to waste? Not only are you wasting food, which is not sustainable for the environment and the growing population, but you're also spending a lot of money and essentially wasting it by not eating the food that you buy. So there has to be a balance between buying in bulk and buying too much food. So keep that in mind. And the seventh thing I would do is to avoid getting a car too early, because having a car is one of the most expensive things And as a broke college student, I don't think that many of us really think it through when we consider buying a car. We think it's just going to be so convenient and so helpful, but we don't really think about the financial aspect of it. And that can really weigh us down financially in terms of being able to pay off our student loans in the future. Now, I get that sometimes having a car is a lot more convenient, but if you're only going to need a car like 2 times a month or less, then I would just take an Uber instead, because like a car isn't really a symbol of wealth, because you really have to pay for things like insurance, the car payment, maintenance for wear and tear. And in Canada, you have to get some snow tires. And also you have to get gas for your car, which can add up to 8,000, maybe even more per year. And as college students, some of us have our own cars, but is it really worth it? You have to think to yourself these things. So consider not owning a car and take public transportation instead. And the eighth thing that I do to save money is to basically think about the purchases that I make. I always think before I buy something. And you really have to ask yourself, do I really need this item or do I just want it? And there's a really big distinction between the two, because at this point, we should really know what our needs and wants are. But sometimes when we're on autopilot, we really can't draw a fine line between the two categories. So what I do is before I buy something, I would try to at least sleep on it, like have a day or two to think about it. And sometimes your impulse wears off after you have a good night's sleep and really think about it if you really need it or not. So yeah, always think before you buy something. And I find that sometimes when I do sleep on a purchase, that I wake up the next morning and just look at it again and I just shrug it off and just question myself why I even wanted to buy something like that in the first place. And the ninth thing I do to save a little bit more money is to not follow trends, like following brand name clothing or what's the popular outfit right now. Because maybe 5 years from now, the style today will look really stupid and you just make yourself look like a fool. Like sometimes when I see what's in style today, I just look at it and I'm just like, you don't have to follow trends. And sometimes generic looking things like the plain shirt I'm wearing right now can really stay in style for a really long time, as opposed to some of the trending clothing that is popular today. So yeah, don't buy into all the brands. Don't always buy into what's popular today. And even in terms of pharmaceuticals, you don't really have to buy the brand name every time, because they still serve the same purpose. Like Nike shoes versus a no-name brand, how much difference does that even make? It's just a swoosh. They both serve as shoes, but one comes at a much steeper price point. So sometimes it doesn't really matter. So don't always follow the trends of what's popular right now, as I think that because one of the items come at a steeper price point than the other, it's a pretty good way of saving an extra buck or two throughout your undergraduate career. The last and final thing brings me to my 10th point, which is to keep your money in something like a high interest savings account. And I see many people make this mistake so much, which is keeping their savings in something like a checking account. I know that the checking account that I have gives you like 0.05% or like 0% interest, something like that. And sometimes I don't get why you would just keep your money in for 0.05%. That's still losing money to inflation. So what I would do is just to put it into something like a high interest savings account. I know that many online banks have interest rates of upwards of 2%. At least get something that's higher than 0.05%, please. Aim for somewhere like 1.7 to 2%. At least try to break even with inflation, okay? And yeah, that's my 10 ways that I save money as a broke college student. So hope you got something out of that. So that's about it for this video. Smash that like button and hit subscribe for more content. I'll be posting every week on Mondays, so subscribe with post notifications on so you never miss a video from me. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one. I hope these tips helped you out. And remember, being broke is temporary. With good habits and the ideas that you take away from this video, that us being broke is only going to be temporary. Because a quote that really resonated with me in the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki is that being broke is temporary, but being poor is forever. So with these tips of how to save money, we're already setting ourselves up to not be poor for our lives. So remember, as college students, we're only temporarily broke. So yeah, see you guys in the next one.